The date is 2113. The location, Paris, the Eiffel Tower. 5 figures stand over a locked box, each holding a key in their hand. Guided by the thread of fate weaved long before they were even born. A fate decided by the actions of those that came before them. A story that began almost 100 years earlier, with the release of a niche video game that would go on to be known as perhaps the greatest video game ARG in history. This is the Trials Riddle. Before we get ahead of ourselves, we need to understand how this story came to be in the first place. The year is 2000. Worldwide, people were only just beginning to recover from the scare of the Millennium Problem, but in the depths of Helsinki, Finland, one game studio was about to be founded, a studio by the name of Red Lynx. Figureheads of this company were two brothers, Ante and Ate Ylövesuo. They would go on to develop many games with the help of their team, but none more so than the game franchise that would send players across the real world as part of an unrivaled ARG for its time, the Trials franchise, a 2.5D physics-bending motorbike platformer. The first entry to the franchise was released the same year, although it was nothing but a humble browser game. 7 years later, the series was revisited and remastered a further year after that with Trials 2 2nd Edition. In 2009, Trials HD marked the third entry into the franchise, appearing for the first time on the Xbox Live Marketplace. This is where things start to get interesting. Members of the Trials community began to notice a series of Easter eggs within the levels of the game. These ranged from mysterious artifacts, obscure illustrations, signs that contained binary and Roman numerals, and last but not least, a set of numbers and dates. It was eventually discovered that each of these discoveries represented important hallmarks of humanity, representing the people who transformed life as we know it today, such as Leonardo da Vinci and Charles Darwin. The achievements of humanity, most notably the Voyager 1 Golden Record, a record sent into space containing all information about Earth and our culture as a species, and the role of mathematics. The aim of this series of Easter eggs was to encourage people to learn about our rich history and continue to ask questions about the world itself. This was certainly interesting, but it would pale in comparison to what would follow in the years to come. In 2012, Red Lynx released their second console Trials game onto the market, this time named Trials Evolution. Given the history of the previous game, members of the community were anticipating a similar set of Easter eggs from the game's creative director, Ante Ylövesuo. He delivered, and created something so much more in the process. It did not take long for members of the Trials community, now calling themselves Riddle Hunters, to discover hidden signs within the game, each with their own elaborate method of discovery. On the track Tribal Trouble, at the beginning of the track, if you were to allow yourself to roll backwards and over some obstructing logs, then bail out towards the river, it would reveal this first sign. Moving over to the track Roller Coaster and immediately following the loop, if you were then to bail, it would reveal our second sign. On the track Falling Down, after hitting a set of steel barrels, allowing yourself to fall back and reverse until a force pulled you over a fence and down a tall hill revealed the third sign. The fourth sign was somewhat more complicated. Discovered on the track Cliff Jumper. After progressing through the track, a large plunger will appear in the background. After waiting a period of time, the plunger will fall and a new area of the track was revealed. After riding to this new unlocked area, the sign is unveiled. The final sign, but far from the last discovery of the riddle, was found on the track Tree Hugger, simply from waiting in a particular trigger spot. After a certain amount of time has passed, the rider will be launched into the air and contorted until the sign is revealed. In the DLC for the game, the discoveries would continue. Big Dig, a track in the Origins of Pain DLC, was hiding something a little more unique. After bailing over the castle at the finish line and rolling down yet another hill, you'll begin to feel yourself being pulled, where this giant mural will then be revealed. A highly similar one can be found on the track Steam Shock after bailing upwards from a set of fans. On the track Reclaimed, performing a wheelie in the background of a sparking wire revealed this giant mechanical structure. There is much more to come, but for now, let's discuss this series of discoveries. The sign discovered on the track Roller Coaster turned out to be a map of Lake Toba, located in Indonesia. Famously, Danau Toba is the site of a huge supervolcano eruption that occurred between 71,000 and 74,000 years ago, which drastically altered the global temperature, and threatened extinction among many, with the threat of an ice age. As for the animals residing within the image, these are two extinct species, the bird being the Titanus, the turtle being the Mealarnidi. As for the two stone murals on Big Dig, when combined, they formed the Arecibo message, an interstellar radio message intended to illustrate information about humanity, created by Frank Drake, sent to the star cluster M13. It was sent exactly once through the Arecibo telescope using frequency-modulated radio waves to form the message through binary. The message is composed of 7 different layers, which all represent different pieces of information about humanity. The cryptic writings of the ancient Indus Valley civilization were the solution to the sign discovered on Tribal Trouble, and the fox carving discovered on the track Falling Down belonged to the Göbekli Tepe archaeological site in Turkey, thought to be dated as far back as the Bronze Age and the Neolithic period respectively. A further carving discovered on the map Tree Hugger known as the Bimbetka and Daraki Shatan couples dated back to 700,000 BC, making them perhaps the oldest known piece of human art originating from the Madhya Pradesh region of central India. The gear-like structure found on Reclaimed was a reference to the Clock of the Long Now, originally proposed by the computer scientist Danny Hillis. It's a clock built to keep time for 10,000 years. Upon completion, the clock will tick once every year, and the century hand will advance once every 100 years. Every millennium, Cuckoo will come out of the clock. The mysterious depiction of a creature surrounded by illegible text found on Cliff Jumper is actually 2 things. The written text in the corner was actually from the highly mysterious Voynich manuscript, a manuscript that to this day has remained completely untranslated, with the most widely accepted theory being that the manuscript was a botanical or medicinal journal. The second of which is an example of Jomon pottery dated between 3000 to 2000 BC. There is one more set of discoveries which is perhaps most important of all to this riddle. Hidden within a track on the Riders of Doom DLC, Riddle Hunters found a mysterious plank containing incomprehensible text on the track Pump It Up, then a further plank on the track Trouble at the Mill, and another on the track Lumberjack. It was clear from the irregular spacing of the sign that this was an encrypted message, one that required all of the planks to be solved. In total, 10 encrypted signs were found, each with their own elaborate method of being revealed. When combined, the signs formed this encrypted message. For a long time, this remained utterly unsolved. Speaking of unsolved, there was one other secret in the DLC skill game track Moneyball, inputting up, up, down, down, left, right, AX, AX, a modified version of the Konami code. You were transported to this room. Clearly, there were more steps required to unlock whatever was hidden in this room, something highly important. The riddle was at a standstill until the ciphertext could be unscrambled. Trials community member and frequent contributor to the riddle hunting effort Murdoch Locke was determined to crack it. Through some very logical brute forcing, Murdoch was able to decrypt a partial phrase of the scrambled text.
I'm pretty sure the last word, LZHHJ, was actually right. So by plugging LZHHJ into the decrypt box using the key right, I got urban, which seemed like it was unscrambled. So I tried to guess the word before, which was OMXM. So now in the decrypt box, I have OMXM LZHHJ. Since I know how in-game passwords work and many of them have an up, down, left, right rhythm to them, I guess that this 4-letter word is left, so using the key left, right, the code is decrypted into dist-urban or disturbing. At this point, I know I'm on the right path. I keep working backwards in this fashion until I've revealed the entire code portion of the cipher. CH, floor, HD, PSYU, UC, LQWY, OMXM, LZHHG. Using the key up, down, up, down, up, down, left, right is then decrypted as is case no mechanical disturbance, or is case no mechanical disturbance. And I assume that the last word is disturbance. So I Google in quotes, is case no mechanical disturbance. And the fourth hit down in the preview text, I see in bold the words in perfect succession. It's a Wikipedia page for the Bohr-Einstein debates.
Using a Vigneer cipher with the full quote on the ciphertext revealed the instructions.
In-game music to zero from the game options. Make a call from the scorpion. Start and pass the first checkpoint. Leap from the rock and start on the next rock. Push the right stick. Up, down, up, down, up, down, left, right.
With this huge breakthrough, Murdoch Locke had discovered the decryption key for the scrambled text, of which the actual Placque hinting towards this wouldn't be discovered until 4 years after the success of Murdoch. On the 22nd of April 2017, long after the Trials Evolution Riddle was officially solved, a video was uploaded to YouTube by prominent Trials YouTuber and riddle hunter Brad Hill, better known as Professor Fatshady. The video revealed the final unlock for the Placque hiding within Moneyball, with the Fibonacci sequence being key to the discovery of this Placque. The Placque revealed the final clue for decrypting the sign, Blaise de Vigneer, a hint to the Vigneer cipher to be used, and the quote that Murdoch was successfully able to discover through brute force 4 years prior. Back to 2013, and the Trials community were about to discover their wildest discovery yet, entering into the track Nature Calls with the Scorpion bike, and following the instructions led to this sequence.
The secrets are hidden in the brighter tones. Your ears may not catch them. You might have to transform it into a visible form. Be prepared to find a strange encoded line. Decoding must be applied. Now shivers are running down your spine as the treasure is waiting for you.
Obviously, this was a clear instruction to use spectral analysis software, a type of software that can visually display frequencies that the human ear may not be able to pick up. This revealed a message in Morse code. When this message was decoded, another message was revealed.
Check song spectra in each song.
Using the same software on each song in the soundtrack for Trials Evolution revealed an identical Morse code sequence. This Morse code, when decoded, led to a website, www.fixedpatternencodes.com. Things had just turned from a video game Easter egg to a full-blown alternate reality game. The website itself contained one simple image, but by now it was apparent that there was much more hiding beneath the surface. Specifically, from within the CSS code of the web page. As hidden within this, the background image of the page could be retrieved. Applying this background image to the original image present on the website and using photo manipulation tools to apply an exclusion filter revealed this string of text. A poem written in Latin by the Roman philosopher Titus Lucretius Carus. Upon the solving of this, the website would remain silent until September of the same year, where it would display this image. The day following, it would display a different one. Then the day after that, another unique image. This continued for a total of 26 days. Each day would represent a different scientist, starting from A to Z alphabetically. On the 27th day, the website was once again updated, displaying each of these images and a prompt for an answer. Using the first initial of the surname of each scientist and a simple substitution cipher, the password Big Freeze with no complete end, a scientific theory for the eventual death of the universe, was discovered as the answer. When this was inputted into the prompt box, the website was further updated to reveal a new cryptic set of messages.
Hold on to what you find. Don't lose it. Pass it on.
What preceded this message was 4 locations, a set of instructions, and a set of coordinates for each. 4 members of the community each travelled to these specific coordinates.
We never meet in Henry's human heaven. Maybe you'll still remember the distant future. Under the thick canopy of a tree, alongside a wall.
Lord Melchett, a member of the Trials community, was the first to retrieve what was hiding at the Bath location. The coordinates had led him to a grave site. Sure enough, after finding the grave for Henry Hubert Hale, hidden behind the grave under the canopy of a tree was a small box with a wax seal. Inside this box was an antique-looking key. This was the first of 4 keys that would be found, but that wasn't the only thing inside. A small plaque was also found inside each of these boxes, with the quote, "It seemed like forever ago."
The city grows around me, while I wait above and watch. I might hear silently through the fog tides. Under small rock, under many, here I lie.
San Francisco's box was found to be buried underground. Upon recovery, another key was found, with another plaque with the same quote. It seemed like forever ago.
Enter 5994 on the keypad to the right of the door. Once inside, go staircase E and press the second button down on the left. Ask metal plate. Say you come to find me. I'm not here.
The coordinates in Helsinki led to a Finnish gaming magazine office. When community member Deall asked for the metal plate, he was provided with one and 3 pieces of paper, all dated back to the 1700s. French in nature, they were documents for a French land sale. One of the documents had a map drawn, a hint to the true location of the next box's whereabouts. Following this clue, Deall was led to another small cemetery, where he found not just a box, but an antique fob watch with engravings dating back to 1916.
We never met in 1759, but we will meet on the 28th of July, 2061. 60 centimeters deep into the rectangular hole that is 1 meter off the ground in the sandstone wall.
Sydney's box was collected by Trials fan That Guy, who retrieved the box from within a sandstone wall. As stated, each box contained a key and a plaque that had the message, "It seemed like forever ago." However, on the back of this plaque, there was another message.
Midday in year 2113, first Saturday in August. One of the 5 keys will open the box underneath the Eiffel Tower.
One of the keys that the Trials community had uncovered would unlock a box under the Eiffel Tower in the year 2113, and this wasn't some sort of metaphor. The creator of the riddle, Antti Ilvesio, has been extremely clear that this will happen in the year 2113.
Is it true? Like, is it actually gonna happen? Yes. That's short answer, but yes, I made sure that in 100 years, made sure that something happens in the exact time. Yep. The people who have the keys.
There's just one small problem. One of 5 keys will open the box under the Eiffel Tower, and yet only 4 keys have been discovered. But what is under the Eiffel Tower in the first place? Well, no one will know until the year 2113. But when asked about the riddle as a whole, Antti left us with this.
We may all look back and see portrait of the young man on old images. I outlived Raphael. Next step is to be there. Probably not. Make most of your end of time.
The End of Time is a book written by Julian Barbour. whose main premise was to argue that time is merely an illusion. And Portrait of a Young Man is a famous painting by the architect and painter Raphael of the Italian Renaissance. A painting that has famously been missing since World War II. No, surely there's no way, right? Even with the end of the Trials Evolution Riddle, it would appear that this mystery is far from over. And with the introduction of the Trials Riddle containing many new mysterious discoveries, the hunt for the fifth key is officially on.